Hello, everybody, and hello, Strike Squad. So, today we are going to talk about something kind of interesting, and that is priority. Priority is a term that gets thrown around a lot in League of Legends, and it's hard to understand what it means. So, in simple terms, priority pretty much means who has the wave shoved up so that the enemy laner has to respond to the shoving wave and they can go do something else, right? So a better example of this would be like if we look at top lane right now. This is a stacked wave, it's reinforced. This wave is going to get under tower, right? And Garen has to secure this wave because it is so many minions early that if he doesn't collect this golden XP, he's going to be so far behind, right? So this gives us what we would call priority, right? So this is a lane with priority, prio, whatever you want to call it. So we have priority in the top lane. Now, what does that mean? What that means is if a fight breaks out at Scuttle, if a fight breaks out at Blue, if a fight breaks out anywhere, in these key points on the map, that I have the ability to roam, and Garen has to make a hard choice. Garen has to say, okay, I either lose all of this XP and gold, or I help my team, right? And now he has to do one or the other because he can't do both, right? So it puts Garen in a sticky situation, and that's good. That's what we want, right? So let's talk about how this play kind of plays out here. So we looked at this and we say, okay, mid has a decent amount of priority. It's good. It's not the best, but it's good. Top has priority as well. Now, because we have priority, that means that our jungler is able to invade, right? And the reason our jungler is able to invade is because TF now has to make a decision between losing minions or helping his team. Likewise, right? Garen has to make the same decision. So what happens now is we watch and see what plays out, right? So Shyvana's in the jungle. She's pressuring. All right, so at this point, now when we're looking at this, what changed? Okay, well, here's what changed. First off, Annie got caught in pretty much a bad situation because when we go back a couple of seconds here, the best thing that can happen here for Annie is this wave hard shoves and actually makes it under tower. Because it doesn't hard shove and make it under tower, Annie now has to make the decision of whether she roams to help or not. Well, it's hard for them to roam and help because there's a reinforcing wave coming in and there's a cannon. However, if Annie roams right now, even though she may miss cannon, TF is going to miss more minions than her because this wave is shoving into Annie and is going to kill her reinforcing wave faster. However, this is a risky play, right? So how does this relate to priority? Annie may have priority in the lane for something like Scuttle, but if a fight is breaking out at Wolves, TF has tempo, okay? TF can get to the fight faster. So this is where you may have priority, right? But just because you have priority in a lane does not mean that you have tempo. Now this is something that's important for junglers to understand and laners to understand. So TF's ability to use tempo is the reason he gets there, including the fact that he has Ghost, which is great, but Annie has Ghost as well. Even if they both popped Ghost, Annie has to go around and down, and TF can go straight in, right? So TF is gonna get there faster, right? That's just the way it is. Now, same for the Urgot. As Urgot, I have priority, but Garen does have tempo because they're defending. And most of the time, anybody who's defending on their side of the map, they have tempo advantage, even though you have priority. And the reason why is because the map is designed so that on your side, you can take a succinct route to get places quicker than me, right? I have to go around. My route is longer, right? Garen's doing this, and I'm doing this, okay? Now, he has tempo, but he's going to miss minions if he roams. So that's where the decision comes into play, right? So we watch what happens here. Our Shyvana still smites away the camp. That's pretty good. We get TF's Ghost out pretty good. Now, here's where priority and tempo come into play again. TF has to roam back here. I mean, if he stays any longer, he's going to miss even more XP. And a good way to look at this is, you may look at that and go, oh, well, you know, Shyvana died, so that's really bad. So if we look at their XP, Annie's up in XP now. And that may not seem like a lot early, but it is. I mean, if Annie gets level 6 before TF and he doesn't expect it in this lane, that's a potential kill. Now, if we look at me, right, I'm a level up already, but realistically, Garen can't give up this wave. He can't, because if he gives up this wave, he's going to end up 2 levels down in XP. So I can invade and now finish what Shyvana started and harass the Zac, right? Now, once again, I know TF has tempo, right? My Annie is not going to get here before TF. So now that I've applied pressure and I've wasted his time and I've wasted the Zac's time, I'm just going to run away, right? The overcommitment for a kill here, just because I have priority, isn't actually the best thing I can do for my team. So I back off, and by backing off, I make Garen miss more minions, more XP. TF has missed more minions, more XP, right? And now we look at a case where Annie almost has a level lead solely because of... So this is where you may look at this and go, oh, well, Shyvana, you know what Shyvana did. Shyvana inted. Shyvana ran in there and died. Shyvana's dead even with the jungler. And ahead, actually, because they stole a camp. And gave both of their laners a level lead, right? Now, obviously, could this have all been executed better and cleaner? Maybe. I mean, maybe a roam sooner or a fight at blue buff and not wolves could have been more beneficial. Who's to say, right? But the primary thing that we understand here is how these concepts function in the game and how we make decisions off of them. Priority is the ability to have a big wave shoved up so that you have access to the river first. Access and a big wave means priority. Big wave crashing, access to river, that's prio, right? Big wave crashing, access to go farm topside jungle camps because you've shoved a big wave into the tier 2 tower, that's prio, right? Prio on an invade. Shoving a giant tower, giant wave into mid lane tower so they have to respond to it so that you can run to drag, that is priority. I guess it's kind of hard to say that it's priority after the first and second tier towers are gone, but you have tempo on dragon, right? Because you'll get there before them because they have to deal with that wave, right? So that's what priority is. It's a big wave pushed up in a lane that gives you access to the map before your opponent. If your opponent has to choose between XP and gold on minions and helping their team, and they have to make that choice, and you don't have to make a choice, you're not going to lose anything by just leaving, you have priority. That is prio. That is priority. That's what it is. Now, the understanding of that is important, but what you have to know is that just because you have priority, you do not have tempo. It depends on where you are in the map, what summoners people have, what ultimates people have, like TF ult, and where the fight is breaking out, right? That is what determines tempo. These are two concepts that have to be used together in order to have most optimal circumstances to take things away. Now, you're never going to have tempo and priority every time you fight. It's just not going to happen, okay? So, using priority to get tempo by crashing a big wave, very beneficial, but it's not always going to work, right? You can't always have both, but you can do your best to be mindful of these strategies and use them in your games. So I hope that this video helped break down kind of the difference between tempo, priority, and then I also have a video that I'm coming out with this week that goes over weak side and strong side. So I hope that these three concepts together help really like bolster our understanding of laning and watching this like game specifically and seeing how I've messed things up and how I did some things good, and that helps you guys. So I will see you guys in the next one.